Hi everyone, welcome to today's session. So in this session, I'm going to talk about sprint planning, some tips and tricks for an effective sprint planning, and what are the typical mistakes that we should avoid during the sprint planning meeting. So let's get started with today's video. So sprint planning, what is sprint planning? So sprint planning is an event that is used for planning the work that we intend to perform during the sprint as a Scrum team. It is one of the most important Scrum events which mainly focuses upon what we can do in the current sprint and what are the different steps or what is the approach that we will be taking to get the chosen work done. The main participants for this meeting are the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the development team. So each and every participant is mandatory. So the product owner provides us with a prioritized list of backlogs. Scrum Master makes us understand what is the intent of this meeting, what is the goal of this meeting, and the development team will provide a commitment that how much work they can deliver together during the sprint. It is a time box event and the minimum duration is 1 hour to a maximum of 8 hours for a sprint of 1 month. So shorter the sprint is, the lesser time you are going to take to plan for it. For example, in my teams, I usually follow a sprint of 2 weeks and we usually take 1.5 to 2 hours to plan for that sprint. The main inputs to the sprint planning meeting are the prioritized list of product backlogs that you are going to get from your product owner, and the product owner is how he is going to do the prioritization. He is going to do the prioritization along with the business users, the stakeholders or the customers, keeping in mind that it will go back to the organizational strategic objectives. It will help to achieve the vision or contribute to the organizational strategic objectives and bring value to our business or customers. Scrum Master basically guides the product owner on how to prioritize certain aspects of it. Then the next input is the latest product increment. So whatever you have built in the last sprint, if you are doing some enhancements on top of that. Then the projected capacity of the development team, because we cannot actually plan our work in case we don't know that for how many days each and every individual team member is available. So basically keeping the capacity in mind would help us not to overcommit. And the average velocity, so the average velocity is again a factor which will tell us that for how many story points we have achieved during the past sprint with same set of people in the team, and what exactly we can commit during this sprint. As an output, we will get the sprint backlog, what is the work that we are going to accomplish in the sprint, the sprint goal, which will keep the team focused, and the commitment from the team in terms of the velocity, that these are the number of story points we are going to commit and this is what we are going to achieve at the end of the sprint. Now let's see some tips and tricks for effective sprint planning. So I have divided this section into two parts. One is before planning and second is during planning. So all these points that you see here, some of these have to be taken care by the product owner, some of these have to be taken care by the Scrum Master, and some of these have to be taken care by the development team. But overall, as a Scrum Master, you are responsible and accountable for that all of these things are taken into consideration so that you can have an effective sprint planning meeting. So what you need to do before the planning is revisit the reference product backlog item and check if they need any adjustments. So as I've told in my previous videos, that when we do the story point estimation is a kind of relative estimation. So we always maintain a baseline backlog or a reference backlog item, and based upon that we actually estimate the other backlog items that we are seeing in the sprint in terms of, is it more complex than our reference product backlog item which is already estimated as 2? Does it have more dependencies, or is it going to take more effort? So basically, if we are having a good reference product, a backlog item in place, it will help us to do a relative estimation with all other backlog items that we are going to discuss during the sprint planning meeting. So as a Scrum Master, you should align with your product owner and see if the reference product backlog item needs to be adjusted before the sprint planning. Then prioritize the product backlog before the sprint. So this is something that the product owner has to do with the business users, customers, or the stakeholders. As a Scrum Master, you can provide a guidance to the product owner that how he needs to prioritize certain things. Ensure that each backlog item or each product backlog item have a proper definition of done and acceptance criteria documented. If these things are missing, please don't take it into the sprint planning. These are the key things that should be available in your product backlog item. Then next is that in all the product backlog items where you feel that some clarifications are required or it has some dependency on other teams and the other teams are not yet ready, then please push those items to the end of your product backlog item list and don't discuss it during the sprint planning until and unless you have a clarity available. Next is that whatever visualization board you are using, for example Jira or VSTS, ensure that that board is up to date. Why? Because in a sprint it may happen that you are not able to achieve 100% of it. So whatever are your spillovers, if your board is updated, you will be clearly able to see the spillovers, and it will help you during the planning to see that the spillovers still hold a higher priority than rest of the product backlog item, or you have to push some of the spillovers to some future sprints, so on and so forth. So if your board is updated, it will give you a visibility and things can be planned properly. Now during the planning, what you need to take care of, that you have to first of all take into consideration the leaves, trainings, public holidays that are there during the sprint and derive the available number of days for the entire team. Based upon the team's availability, you can plan your work. Next is that you have to check the average velocity. For example, the average velocity is 20 story points over a period of 5 sprints. That guide your team that please don't plan 20 plus minus 3, because if we are doing that, we are certainly overcommitting, because we know that we can only finish this much with the same set of people in the team. Also, before the planning, before you actually start discussing your product backlog item, just check with all the team members whether there are any customer test or any regression test or any kind of testing or release planned during that sprint. If that is there, then you have to keep some room available for resolving the consultation tickets or resolving the bugs that you may encounter as a result of that testing. Okay, so that is another thing you have to take into account. Then break down your requirement into subtasks. So this is very important. So once you start discussing the product backlog item, you have to break it down into the subtasks. So breaking it down into the subtasks will actually help you to get into the nitty-gritties of what the requirement actually is. And if all the team members, they are not expert in that topic, when you are slicing the requirement, each and everyone will get an understanding. Okay, if we get this kind of requirement, that is how we need to approach. For example, if you have to introduce a cash on delivery payment mechanism in an online book shopping website, then you see that this is certainly a requirement that can be finished within the sprint, but what are the different steps to achieve it? List those steps as tasks. For example, you have to create a new function module. For example, you have to introduce a new checkbox for cash on delivery, and then you might have to update the design document, or you might have to do unit testing, regression testing, all these things. So update these as subtasks. One of the reasons for this is that all the team members will get a clarity that what they exactly need to do when they get this kind of requirement. Second is that, for example, this thing involves 10 developmental activities. So every time during your daily scrum, if you will say that development is in progress, probably half of the team will understand and half of the team will not understand. By doing this, you can exactly point it out that I am done with these 4 steps, and this is the step where I am right now, and the development is in progress. Also, if a team member goes on an emergency leave and the other person is jumping in his place, then that person also knows where exactly to start from. So these are some of the benefits of having subtasks. There are a lot of benefits of having subtasks, and there is no limitation on number of subtasks that we can have, but yes, this is something that we should be doing. The next is that during the planning, enforce a pull mechanism in the team. As a scrum master, as a product owner, or as development team members, please don't force others to take up the backlog items and be accountable for that. Let them be accountable for whatever they want to pick it up. Okay, so this let them volunteer on their own. That's the point. Then enforce swarming approach in the team. So for example, your team is full of junior and senior development team members, and there are few junior team members who have recently joined. Rather than giving them training or giving them KT sessions, introduce them to on the job learning, introduce them to the swarming mechanism, where a senior developer is handling or is accountable for that backlog item, but it is being worked upon by a junior developer under the guidance of that senior developer. Make 2 to 3 team members work on a single backlog item. Doing so, each and every team member will slowly get equipped with that knowledge, and the knowledge will be distributed and doesn't reside with one person. If one person goes on emergency leave, the other person in the team will be able to handle it. So these are also some of the benefits of swarming approach. So as a scrum master, coach your team on these methodologies and introduce these mechanisms in the team. Then estimate before assignment. So as I said, enforce a pull mechanism, but before you let everyone volunteer and pick up an item, estimate that item and ensure that everyone is taking part in the story point estimation. So every opinion matters. So it is not like that one person is a info developer or one person is a technical writer, content writer, or a QA or a UX designer, so they don't know what the development is all about. So we are not taking their estimations into account. Each and every person is responsible for providing estimation, and in order to provide the estimation, as a product owner, explain the product backlog item in question in terms of the functional aspect, discuss it in terms of the technical aspects, let the team ask questions, clarify their questions, and give them a reference product backlog item, so that at least people who are new to the story point estimation, or who doesn't know about that development framework using which we are going to achieve the requirement, they can just do a kind of relative estimation. Okay, then confirm any currently known issues or concerns and see how they could impact the product backlog item planned for the sprint. So if there are any known issues that are ongoing, then or for example, you have a product backlog item, but in order to do that product backlog item, maybe you have taken something else in the previous sprint, or some other team is doing something else in the previous sprint, and that needs to be finished, right? So just check that whether that is finished or not. If that is not finished, please don't take the product backlog item into this particular sprint. Just park it for the future sprint. And lastly, define the sprint goal. So defining a sprint goal is very, very important. It is basically a sprint objective which is required to be met through the implementation of product backlog item. It actually gives the guidance to the development team on why they are building the increment. Okay, so defining the sprint goal is actually very important, and it keeps the team focused. It is kind of a coherence that causes the development team to work together, focus on the main set of items rather than working on separate activities. So please define that, and always visualize your sprint goal. Be on your hardboard that you are using, be on your Jira board, be on your VSTS, whichever visualization mechanism you are using, ensure that it is visible. Okay, then what are the typical mistakes you should avoid during the sprint planning? So first is the product owners create sprint backlog on their own without input from the developers. So this means that if the product owner is doing that, they are committing this team to a backlog they had no say in creating. So it reduces kind of engagement, collaboration in the entire planning process, and the likelihood that the sprint will meet its sprint goal. So never ever do that. Discuss the items with the team beforehand, maybe during the backlog refinement session, and then bring it up during the sprint planning session. The Scrum Master shows the candidate user story to the developers for the first time. So this is something that we should avoid, and each and every user story that is coming up in the sprint planning should have been or must get discussed during your backlog refinement. Okay, so then the team doesn't settle on a definition of done. So when this actually happens, the team delivers a product that is incomplete at the end of the iteration. A sign is that a problem may be looming is not having all the items on sprint backlog split into a series of manageable tasks. Okay, so please define a common definition of done for your entire team, for the entire set of backlog that you are having, and use the definition of done. If the team is not agreeing on the definition of done, have a discussion with the team, arrive at a common definition of done, and then apply it to all the backlog items. The candidate user stories aren't discussed with other stakeholders before being added to the sprint backlog. So this is something that we should never be doing. We get our requirements from our business users, customers, or stakeholders. So all these user stories must be discussed with them, prioritized with them before we add them or bring them to our sprint planning session and add them to our sprint backlog. Why I am saying this is because, for example, you have picked up a few requirements and your team started working on it. Now in the middle of the sprint, maybe you have a review after 1 week of sprint planning, that is mid-sprint review, and during that review your business says that this requirement is not at all important for me, and I can see that you didn't give me the demo of the requirement that was most important for me. Why that is not there in your sprint backlog? And if they try to introduce that item in the middle of the sprint, and you have to take it because you didn't discuss the other items that you have taken into sprint backlog before with your business, that point in time it diverts the team focus. It let the team deviates from the sprint goal they are having. So never ever do that. Then the Scrum team doesn't detail task and subtask adequately. So I have told you the benefits of it. in the previous slide. So please break down your requirements into as many as number of steps as possible, and guide the team on working on those steps in parallel if possible. Members of teams are reluctant to discuss the steps, so if you are not discussing the steps, then it will not giving an entire team an opportunity to learn. So those who are aware, and those who doesn't have any knowledge doesn't have any knowledge. Plus, the estimation that you will derive at the end of it will not be an accurate estimation, and you will not be able to estimate the things accurately going forward also, because all your previous estimations are not right, because you are not discussing the requirements in length, and it's just that uh, people are not understanding, and they are just estimating for the sake of estimating. The next is the team doesn't have a scrum master to take charge of the planning. So without a scrum master to control the pace of the planning session, everyone will seek to get it done as soon as possible, which may result in either a frustratingly ineffective planning session or skipping of the key details. One example could be, if you don't have a scrum master, I can bet you that 40% of the team members will not even bother to estimate, or will not even bother to listen to what steps are being discussed. So just keep in mind that while doing the sprint planning, you are taking into account the do's and don'ts, so that you have an effective sprint planning session. And overall, if you try and follow these tips over a period of time, you will see that the team members will start understanding the importance of such sessions. They will start taking it seriously, and their velocity will definitely improve. So that's all from my side for today's session. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comments section. And if you like my video, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much for listening to me.